Hey Compass students, back with another week of worship. Feel free to sing along if you know it.
I want you to stop and think for a second about somebody who has a really positive impact on your life. Somebody you just love to be around. Maybe they're really kind, maybe they're compassionate, maybe they're just fun. They're just somebody that has a huge positive effect about them. And you just want to be around them. Now also think about somebody that has a negative effect on you, a negative effect on the people around you. Maybe they're the opposite of the positive effect person in your life. Maybe they fly off the handle easy, they've got anger issues, whatever. They just are not fun people to be around. Unfortunately, we all have some of those people in our lives. But one thing that I've noticed about people on both sides of the coin, whether it's a positive effect person or a negative effect person, those people don't really have to try very hard at being who they are. Like, they're being fairly genuine, or at least from the people that I've seen. On average, the people that have the you effect in a big way, they're just being themselves. They just do their thing. You know, every single one of us has an effect on people in our lives. Somebody that had a really big effect on my life was my Grandpa Bruce. And my Grandpa Bruce passed away when I was 16 years old, but he had a huge effect on me. He was just an awesome, awesome guy. I can't wait to see him again. Like, super kind. He was just fun to be around. He told jokes. He would always bring me a box of Twinkies. Like, he was just fun to be around. He wasn't really popular. You know, he didn't have a lot of money. He wasn't famous. Not a whole lot of people knew him. He was an electrician. He was a hard worker. He liked to fish. But he had a really big effect on the people around him. I remember at times when we'd go over to my grandparents' house and my grandfather wouldn't be there, and I'd ask my grandma, like, hey, where's Grandpa Bruce? And she's like, oh, he's helping somebody. Somebody so-and-so down the street, their heater went out, or maybe one time, their lights didn't work or whatever, and he would go fix their problems. A lot of times he'd come back and he'd have like a cake or cookies or something like that, because there was a lot of people in that area that were really struggling financially. They weren't able to pay him, but he wasn't going to let that stop him from doing something that he could do, and that was fix their heater. He wasn't going to let their inability to pay or their fact that they, were struggling, hadn't had a job in a while, none of that mattered to him. He knew that he had the tools to be able to fix their problem, and so he would just go do it. So they would pay him in different ways. But he was just a really kind man. Just an awesome person to be around. And those were some of the qualities that I've tried to emulate and that I think about when I remember my grandfather. It kind of reminds me of a story in the Bible, and I know I have to say that because I'm a pastor, but it really does. Hang with me here. So Jesus is with his disciples, and there's all these people following him. If you want to check this out, you can read about this in the book of John, chapter 6. But anyway, so there's all these people following Jesus and his disciples because Jesus has been teaching people. He's been healing people. He's been doing all these amazing things. And there's thousands upon thousands of people following him. There was at least 5,000 men there that followed Jesus and were listening to the things they had to say. So you've got 5,000 people following you, listening to your talk. I mean, that's like a massive church service. And now, how are we going to feed all these people? And that was what Jesus asked. He asked Philip, one of his disciples, he said, hey, Philip, we need to feed all these people. How are we going to do that? And now Philip was the analytical guy, so he's like, has the notepad out, and he's just going to town with his Apple Pencil and just trying to figure out how it is that they're going to feed 5,000 people. And he's like, dude, it's going to take over half a year's wages just to feed all these people, even so that you just have one bite. There's no way we're going to be able to do this. Interestingly enough, there was a boy in the crowd. I like to call the boy Bruce. I just do. So Bruce has been listening to Jesus talk. And he's been hearing Jesus talk about what it means to love God, and about the kingdom of heaven, and about serving people. He's been hearing all these things, and he's sitting there listening, and he's holding on to a sack lunch. And in that sack lunch, he's got 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. So obviously, it doesn't say where exactly he was, but obviously he's close enough to hear the conversation that's going on between Jesus and his disciples. And so he goes up to Andrew. One of the things I love about Andrew is he doesn't run the kid off. He doesn't tell him hey, adults are talking. We've got trying to figure out some issues here. Go sit back down and play with your dreidel or whatever. He doesn't do that. He sees that this boy comes up to him hey, I don't know if this is going to help or not, but here's my sack lunch. It's got 5 pieces of bread and 2 fish in it. You can have it. You can do with it whatever you want to do with it. Maybe we can feed a couple people. It's okay, but I just want to give it to you. Which is really awesome. This is one of the amazing things about giving. It's one of the amazing things about being generous. Being grateful for what it is that you have, but knowing that you can help other people with it. That's amazing. We've heard so many stories of things like that during this time when we're in quarantine, of people that are being fed, senior citizens being cared for, children with special needs being cared for, missionaries, all these different people that our church, you have made an impact on. You have been able to make an effect, have an effect on them by the way that you give. And that's just super cool. Anyway, so back to what we're talking about. So Bruce, little boy, goes to Andrew and gives him his lunch. And Andrew goes up to Jesus and he says, hey, there's a kid here with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Now, he's already seen Jesus do some pretty amazing things. So I've got to wonder, he's kind of like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen now. I wonder what he could do with this. I mean, the dude's already turned water into wine. How hard is it to take 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish and, I don't know, make a buffet out of that? Who knows? Anyway, he brings it to Jesus. And Jesus does his thing. And it's just awesome. And guess what? Yeah, all 5,000 people get fed. And they had food left over. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was a miracle because this boy stepped up, gave what he had, and had a huge effect on people. And that's what the U effect is all about. You see, we all have an effect on people. We all affect people more than we know. And you may think, yeah, I don't really have all that much to work with. You have an effect on people, positive or negative. We all have an effect on people. So one thing that we can do to look at this is take what this boy did. Take what my grandfather did, my grandpa Bruce. He saw people. You think about the who. Who do I need to make an effect? Who do I need? Who needs help? Who can I make an effect in their life? Right? You take the who. And then you look at the need. What is it that they need? And then you take what you've got. Look at what you have. You see the who, the person who needs it. You see the what it is exactly they need, and you just do your thing. You get in there and you do what it is that you need to do. And God will bring you different opportunities to be able to have an effect on people in a positive way. And it's incredible. When you place yourself in a position where you allow God to work through you, saying, hey man, all I've got is 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. You may not be able to do much with this, but you can do with it whatever you want to. God will work miracles. So don't ever think that you don't have anything to offer. You can have an effect on people. You have more of an effect on people than you know.
Hey Compass students, I really hope you enjoyed that message from Pastor Josh in the first week of the U Effect, our new series. I believe the series can be super impactful, so make sure to stay tuned for the next 2 weeks and invite your friends, share it on social media. If you are on our social media pages at Compass ROSM, you see that we started something new this week, and it's our volunteer celebration for both student and adult volunteers. And so if you have someone who has really impacted you, either an adult or a student, and you think they should be recognized, or you would love to recognize them on our Instagram, then please, please, please let us know. DM us on Instagram, text Josh or myself or Nick or someone who you know can get it back to us, because we'd love to recognize them. We'd love to celebrate them and the things that they're doing for the kingdom. Make sure to join our Zoom after this, and we'll see you next week.